In math at school and at home right now, we're working on laying the foundation for subtracting two-digit numbers, especially with regards to regrouping. What we're starting with right now is learning how to take apart numbers so that they're easier to subtract. The students are learning, instead of looking at numbers like 81 minus 14, which are very difficult conceptually to imagine the subtraction of, we're going to learn how to break those numbers apart so that we can subtract them. For some students, they're going to take 81 and they're going to count 14 back on the number line. And they're just going to start here and they're going to make 14 hops. However, they can make a lot of errors as they hop down the number line, and it's not a very accurate way to subtract. In addition, we really want to build their brain processes, and we want them to understand conceptually how numbers are made up so that they can break them apart and make problems easier to solve. Last night for homework, we worked on problems like 81 minus 4. Today what we're doing is we're adding a 1 into the tens place. We're just complicating the problem by a step to challenge them a little further and to prepare them for two-digit subtraction. So for tonight's homework, what we're looking for is for them to try to get rid of this tens place 1 by making one giant hop mentally or using the number line. So we're going to break 14 apart, the tens and the ones. And now we're going to think about this number and take 10 away from it. So we're going to get it down to being 71. We've now dealt with taking this 10 out, but we still have an ugly math problem of 71 minus 4. But this more closely resembles what the students were doing last night. Now we want to see if we can get this number down to a nice round 10 number. Down to 70 would be great. So we're going to get rid of this 1, and that leaves us with 3 more that we still need to subtract. And now we can do 70 minus 3. For most students that are very fluent with their 10 facts, they can think of this as a 10 minus 3, and they should be able to tell you that it's going to end in a 7, and conceptually to recognize that the number will be 67. For some, 70 minus 3 is still very difficult because they are not fluent with their 10 facts. So they're going to need to use the number line and start at 70 and hop back 3. Which is a lot faster and easier than perhaps 81, counting all the way back 14 to begin with. But your student may be at the point, and I do have a few, who 81 minus 14 with 14 hops is the best that they can do with this strategy. They're just not able to conceptualize taking away the 10 and then taking away more. And that's fine. For another example, 84 minus 16. Again, we're going to try to get rid of this 10 first to make the overall problem easier. So I'm going to take 10 away, leaving 6 ones. When I take the 10 away, it leaves me with 74. Now that I've dealt with that 10, I'd like to get rid of this 4. So now if I have 70 and I've taken the 4 away, I only have 2 left to subtract. And 70 minus 2, or if they think of it as a 10 number, minus 2 should leave me with an 8. And again, conceptually, they should be able to come up with that's a 68. Let's try just a couple more to make sure we're getting it. If this one, we want to take away the 10 first, leaving us with 67. 67 minus 4, I can do without having to break apart the 4 because 7 is greater than 4. So now I can simply subtract the 7 minus the 4 and my 6 in the tens place remains and I have 63. This is the sort of problem that oftentimes tricks the students. They learn a strategy, and just like with spelling, they learn a rule and then they want to over-apply it. They want to use it in every instance. And so this is a discrimination of learning when do I use it and when do I not need to. They will need that same mentality when doing subtracting with two-digit numbers. They're going to need to know when do I have to regroup and when do I not need to regroup. And this is an example of when they won't need to regroup. So one more. Again, I want to get rid of this 10, and to do so I make this number 10 less, or 73. I've dealt with the 10. I still have 9 ones remaining. This time I do want to get this number down to a nice round, even 10 number. So I'm going to get rid of 3 more, leaving me with just 6 ones. And 70 minus 6, or a 10 minus 6, is going to leave me with 4, if I know my 10 facts fluently. And then a 64 is the answer. I hope this helps you with tonight's math. Again, I encourage the students to use the strategy as it really builds their mental capacity to understand where we're headed with two-digit subtraction. And like I said, especially with that regrouping, they're going to need to know when to use it and when not to use it. If this is too difficult of a concept, however, feel free to just have your student use the number line and count back. But be aware that a lot of errors take place when they're making that many hops down the number line. If you have any questions, as always, just let me know or write me a question on their homework, and I'm always happy to help or to further explain it tomorrow morning.